All right, who knows who this guy is? He's one of my favorite people. If you don't know who this is, you should get on YouTube and check out Bob Ross. So Bob Ross was a painter who painted pictures on PBS, or Public Broadcasting System, and supposedly you could get your easel and your paints and your brushes and just follow along and end up with these beautiful creations like Bob ends up with here. For most of us, that would definitely not be the case. But he was always a happy guy, obviously incredible afro, but super happy guy. Everything he painted was happy. Happy trees, happy mountains, happy little streams, everything. So what this has to do with science is the fact that whenever we draw something together, a lot of times I'll refer to Bob Rossing it, which is what we're about to do here with the rock cycle. So what I would like to do is I'm going to show you here what you're going to end up with real quick. This is what you're going to end up with, but I'm going to show you how to do this so you end up with something neat and usable in your notebook. So let's start with this, and feel free to pause this video throughout. I'm just going to keep talking. But on your page, maybe turn it sideways, kind of landscape style, and just put these 4 rock types, if you will, in the corner. Or corners, pardon me. After you have these drawn in the corners, put little boxes around them, then you are going to draw some lines. So take a second, pause it here, draw these lines. If you want to use colors like I did, some of these colors are for a purpose, some are just because they're the only colors I had. So go ahead and draw these lines on there, so what you get is an actual circle or cycle looking diagram. And then next, go ahead and fill this information in. And as soon as you get this filled in, then hit play again, because again I'm going to keep on talking, and we'll go through this. So I kind of want you to have it in your diagram, or pardon me, in your notebook. Have this diagram first, and then we'll go through it. So at this point you should have this drawn, and what you should recognize is that we have magma here, which most of you know magma. I assume maybe even this rock cycle looks familiar. But when any type of rock melts, it turns into magma, as you can see by all these red arrows. If you get igneous rock that melts, if you get sedimentary rock that melts, if you get metamorphic rock that melts, it all turns into magma. That's the only thing it turns into. And then the interesting thing, and interestingly enough, is that when magma cools, it only cools into one type of rock. So when magma cools, it turns into igneous rock only. Notice that I put the word freezing in parentheses there. We'll come back to this. Actually, we hit some of this in our mixtures and substances unit, but keep in mind, remember, freezing does not always have to be cold. What this means is that this is a temperature at which liquid rock turns to solid rock. That's all that freezing means from a scientific standpoint. So there we got magma covered. We know the only way to create igneous rock is through cooling of magma. If we want to create sedimentary rock, for example, we can take igneous rock, weather it, and erode it, which we'll get a little more into later. But again, weathering, breaking down of rock, erosion, movement. Break it down in little pieces, move it somewhere else, and then we have sedimentary rock. If we take metamorphic and do the same thing, weather and erode it, we get sedimentary rock. And now there's something I'd like you to write up here, which I will go ahead and add because I kind of forgot to add it. But if you make a little note up here, there are other 2 processes that you need to create sedimentary rock. First one is compaction, so as in to compact, C-O-M-P-A-C-T-A-T-I-O-N, some compaction, and cementation, like the word cement, C-E-M-E-N-T-A-T-I-O-N. So compaction and cementation. So you got to have it compacted together, and then it needs to have some sort of glue or cement to hold it all together. And that's your sedimentary rock. And then lastly, with metamorphic rock, we can take igneous or we can take sedimentary rock, and if it gets pushed underground and there's heat and a tremendous amount of pressure, you can create metamorphic rock. And that is essentially your rock cycle.